Hello, everyone. How's it going? I just realized that I had not started the stream. Okay. So, once again, welcome, everyone. Uh, Hope you are enjoying GHW so far. This is what, part of day one or day two, kind of. And what are we going to do? We are going to learn how to get started with machine learning in JavaScript, part of GHW AI ML week. And I am going to be taking the session. I am UT. If you have not met me, I was kind of away for 3 months, so you probably don't know me. But if you go back and see 3 months ago and see my stream, you'll find me. So welcome everyone, and everyone who's saying hello in the chat, hello back. Let me see. Not a good music. Yep. We'll keep this on, okay, for the time being. And is the stream started? Yes, just started. Just started. Like I had exactly started it at 11, but then I forgot to go live. Okay, as I said, coming back after 3 months, kind of forgot what to click on. Uh, but once again, hello. I love the excitement in the chat. Okay, so what are we going to do? First of all, we are going to wait for maybe a couple of seconds. Okay, like let's say 30 seconds. Let other folks join. And once everyone has joined, we are going to go over some basics of machine learning. I think Alberto or Newfield, one of them, took a session on theory of machine learning. Probably Alberto, uh, right? Or if not, I am going to take a yeah. It's not Java; it's JavaScript, and different, very different languages. Uh, we are going to, what are we going to do? We are going to go over some theoretical knowledge of ML, and then we are going to build projects. That if you knew me 3 months ago, you knew that my forte is building projects. Okay, I like to build projects live, where and not live. Let's say I've practiced it before, of course, but do some hands-on learning, hands-on training. Okay, so that is what we are going to do again today. But before that, some theory, because not everyone is familiar with this whole part of the learning system. Not everyone is familiar with this topic. So, bit of knowledge before we get started. Okay, I think I have rambled enough. Let's get into it. So, number one, what is machine learning? Also, let me go away from the screen so that you can focus solely on the screen and not what I'm looking at. uh, so, what are we going to focus? First question, uh, is this session recorded? Yes, it is. It is available on YouTube and also on the Twitch for I think a month. But finding out finding it out on YouTube would be worth the chance. Okay, you can search for Major League Hacking YouTube channel, and you will find it there. Let me actually search for the link and give it to you. If I can find it quickly. Okay, thank you. So I have found it. Okay. Uh, Thanks for sharing the link in the chat. And 6 a.m. in Canada. Yeah. It's early for me as well on a Saturday. It's like what 11? Yeah. So it's 11 a.m. in the UK. So yeah, early for me as well. But moving on. So what is machine learning? So machine learning, as the description says here, it's a branch of AI which is at such a hype right now. It focuses on creating systems that are capable of learning from the data itself. And improving over time. And what is the core idea is that instead of hard coding specific tasks, let's say, instead of telling it that, oh, you have to add these two numbers or you have to subtract these two numbers, you give it some patterns to learn from. Okay. So a better description is on the slides, but meanwhile, even I'll try and explain the way I have learned it and understood it. So machine learning, branch of AI, okay, focuses on creating systems capable of learning from data and improving over time without the need of explicitly programming what it is and why or how. Okay. So that is the core idea of machine learning. Now, what's the difference between ML and AI? Okay, so ML is about training machines, okay, to perform specific tasks, whereas AI, it's a broader field. It's like an umbrella and it encompasses several subfields. Example, let's say ML, where it is the core focus is on data driven learning. You have deep learning, which is again a subset of ML itself that uses something called as neural networks. We will not get deep into neural networks. We'll not deeply learn deep learning today, because not in the scope of our session. uh, the next part is computer vision. So here we are helping machines interpret and process visual information. And NLP, what is that? Natural languages processing, which is kind of a subpart of or a part of LLMs that we hear nowadays, ChatGPT, okay, GitHub Copilot. So it's like understanding and generating human language. Now, let me go in the chat if there's any questions. Believe it or not, I'm alive. Me too. Okay. Okay. So that's about, what is ML versus what is AI. AI has too many subfields into it. ML is just part of it. Moving on, the next bit is what are some of the key concepts in machine learning. Now, these are some real life examples. Please, we will come to it at the end of this. Okay, so don't worry about it. Uh, so some key concepts in machine learning. These are the words that will be used in this session. It will be thrown around, and I want you to know what they mean. uh, so example number one is model. We'll use this word so many times. I am going to take like 4 sessions. This is the first session, and I'm going to use the word model again and again. So what is a model? Think of it as a function, or if you're coming from object oriented programming, a class or a method, anything which takes an input, does some processing, kind of a black box processing, and produces an output, often with probabilities. Okay, we'll take an example. We'll go deep into what it is. So there's this keyword called as model. Now, if I have to define it much better, you can, or much simpler, you can think of model in machine learning. It's like a recipe. You take ingredients, which is like your inputs, you follow a set of instructions, kind of your middle processing, and you produce an output, which in this case would be a dish. So if you want to, I don't know, create pasta, okay, for example, you take the inputs, you follow the instructions, and produce a really nice pasta at the end of it. Okay. Now, where what like if we have to go into some examples of it, in an image recognition model, okay, the keyword model. So for image recognition, the input could be the picture of an animal. The output would be the probability, whether it's a cat or a dog or another animal. But you read the next bit, which is probabilities. The model does not just say that, oh yeah, this is a dog. It's always uses the term called as probability, that there is a 70% chance, or I'm like 70% sure that this is a dog, but there's also a 30% chance that it is a cat. Okay, so a model, it produces an output often with probabilities. That's what the first line said, right? So that is the probability. It does not say explicitly this is what it is. It says, I'm like this person sure that this is this, but I'm also this person sure that this could be the other thing. Okay, moving on to the next bit, algorithms. Algorithms, some of the examples are CNN, naive Bayes, and LSTM networks. Let's get into it. So what is an algorithm? An algorithm is like different cooking methods, okay, in our recipe. They're specific to the techniques, or the specific techniques that we are using to create the model. Uh, Yes, and this is what we call uh, wrong output, but good one. Okay, so example, convolution neural networks, CNNs, okay, specialized for processing and recognizing images. So algorithm, different cooking methods in our recipe. So example, one of the algorithm or one of the cooking method is CNN, where it is specifically for understanding images. The other method, or to make a recipe or for a machine learning model, is naive bias, which is basically used for spam detection. Or the one other example is LSTM, long short term memory networks, where what is it doing? It's like type of a neural network which is good at understanding sequences and predicting the next word in the sentence. Again, kind of towards what ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot does. Okay, going back actually, weights. This is another keyword that will be used a lot. So what is weights? So these are the values that determine the importance of features in the data. So if I have to give some more description to it, weights are like telling, which part of this whole data is much more important. Example, in recognizing a face, certain features, example, the shape of your eyes, the shape of your ears, the shape of your nose, these carry much more weight than, let's say, the shape of your eyebrows, okay, or the shape of your lips probably. So you assign, or the model, you can say, when it starts to learn slowly, it assigns higher weights, or tells that I'm going to focus more on these certain things and I'm going to focus less on these other certain things. So as I said, the model assigns these weights to your data. So if you give it more data, it will slowly and steadily learn which features should be given more weightage. Okay, it's, you can think of it as like a student learning to focus on important information. Okay, now the next part is overfitting. So when a model learns the training data too well, including the noise, it makes it less effective on new data. What does that mean? So like, let's take an example. You are learning for a math test, okay, and you went like, okay, I'm going to learn this question. I'm not going to see how it works, but I'm going to exactly understand what the question says. The question said 2 plus 3, and you learned 2 plus 3 gives you 5, and you learn that again and again and again. Now you're very good if someone asks you what is 2 plus 3, but then in the exam they went like, what is 3 plus 2, or what is 3 plus 3, and you're like, well, I don't know how addition works. I only know what's the answer for 2 plus 3. So that is kind of an example, or a very generalized uh, overview of overfitting. When your model, okay, that is your function where you're giving the inputs and it's doing the processing. In the processing part, it specifically learns only that part of the data and does not generalize that concept, then that is overfitting. So it will from that data. So if you give it a picture of 10 dogs, and it learns that, okay, 10 dogs and 5 cats, and it learns specifically those 10 dogs and 5 cats. If you give it a picture of your own cat, it will not understand what it is because it is very overfitted. So if now, as you can see, the impact is that if it performs very well on training data, it might fail to generalize to new and unseen data, okay, which makes it very less effective in real world scenarios. And finally, what are classes and labels? Now, it's basically very simple. These are categories assigned to data. Example, in image, you would say that, for the machine learning to learn, you will say that this particular image is of a dog, this is a cat, or in an image, you will make something called as a bounding box, where you will, like, probably focus on one image or one part of the image and go like, this is a dog and this is a cat. Okay, so that is classes and labels. And they play a major role in something called as supervised learning or even semi-supervised learning, where the labels are basically the correct answers to example in an image. So those were some key concepts or the key words, I would say, in machine learning. So if I use these words, now you know what they mean. Now, what or how does machine learning work? What is a typical ML workflow? Like if you have to do it. Uh, Step one would be kind of data collection. So we first gather relevant data to train our model. Okay, or train our model in this case being the function. Then we do something called as data pre-processing. Now, before, like, let's say we collected data or from, I don't know, we clicked some pictures of the trees that are in our area. Okay, it will not just contain the images of the trees, it will also probably contain images of some cars or maybe some people. So you would want to remove that part of the image so that your machine learning model can specifically learn what does a tree look like, okay, what does a plant look like. So you clean and you format and you prepare the data for analysis. The next bit would be model selection. So you have to now choose what is an appropriate algorithm that fits your task. So example, in the case of learning whether this is a tree or not, you are going to use something like CNN, okay, that particular algorithm, because it's very good at learning from your images. Then the next bit would be training. Okay, so now you take this data, you know which algorithm you are using, and you're going to feed those images to this particular algorithm so that it can learn from it. Once it learns, then you are going to do something called as evaluation. So you're going to test the model's performance on unseen data and check how accurate it is. So now, if you have taken like 10,000 images of trees, you will now do you'll first do segregation. You will give 9,000 images as training data to your machine learning model, okay, and you'll keep the 1,000 secret, and then you'll use it later. You'll feed that and ask it to tell you whether it's a tree or not. Okay, so that's the evaluation. Once that is done, you will now deploy your machine learning model and maybe build a website where on the background this model is running, and you ask a user to upload an image, and your model will return whether it's a tree or not. Then iteration. You have to continuously improve the model with new data, because, well, it's not like your model has seen all kinds of trees and plants there, or even the same plant in different seasons. Like in rainy season, let's say it will look more green, whereas in winter or summer, more yellowish, okay, maybe with fallen leaves and stuff. So you need to keep on saving the images that the user is uploading, so that later on you can feed it again to the model and tell it to learn from it. So that's the part of the iteration. Now, there are different types of machine learning. Also, before I go into it, let me check the chats. Too many chats, it seems like. Uh, Let me see if there's any question in it, though. All pizza, no questions. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you so much. Uh, yeah, so as 404 says that, sometimes your model is not going to be very accurate. So you have to go back and kind of segregate either the data, clean up the data, add more data, reduce some data, okay, so that your model can learn, or your machine learning model can understand it properly. Now, different types of machine learning. Okay. So even in machine learning, you have types. There's something called as supervised learning, where you use the labels. You remember the labels? Yeah. So use those labels to train your model. So what it does, it takes the input, let's say again, going back to particular trees. Okay. It takes an image, and from the label, it basically learns, oh, this is an image of a tree. Perfect. Then it takes another image and it says, oh, this is image of not a tree, something like that. So supervised is where you tell it exactly what uh, the data is, the data that you're feeding it, the data that it is using to learn. You tell it exactly what it is. Unsupervised learning, it works with unlabeled data, identifying hidden patterns and structures within the data. Example, let's say you have taken a census, okay, and then you give it to a machine learning model, and it's trying to kind of fit that, oh, this area is uh, how near to school, or how far is this area to the school, which areas have more schools, which areas less schools. So it's kind of trying to find some patterns, or which areas can have a mall built or a shopping complex built, okay, depending on how many people are in that area, things like that. Semi-supervised learning, you give it both. Okay, you give it some labeled data, some unlabeled data, and let it learn from that. And then there's something called as reinforcement learning. So it involves learning with rewards and penalties. Not like, okay, if you learn this better, I'm going to give you a chocolate, because, well, what will my laptop do with a chocolate? What will my model do with a chocolate? But it's useful in gaming scenarios, where you basically tell a model that every time you kind of clear a level, you get plus 100 points, and every time you fail, you get minus 100 points, and you kind of train it to achieve more plus points than more minus points. Okay, so that is kind of a reinforcement learning, something that our parents do, right? uh, Now, moving on. So that is different types of machine learning. Moving on, what is TensorFlow, which is what we are going to use like majority. Maybe not in the first project that much, but slowly and steadily as we build more projects, we are going to use TensorFlow. Now, what is TensorFlow? So TensorFlow is an open source machine learning framework developed by Google. And what it does, it allows you to create and deploy ML models across various platforms, including mobile, desktop, and cloud. Why TensorFlow? Well, it's flexible because it has so many models already available. Then it is again cross-platform. So you could teach it on your laptop, and once it's done, you can deploy it on a mobile system. And of course, there's huge community support. So like more tutorials, more Stack Overflow answers, and just a lot good things. Okay. So anytime you are facing a problem, you can always go to the Stack Overflow. Now, what is TensorFlow.js? So that was TensorFlow. Now, what is TensorFlow.js? So it's particularly the keyword or the name suggests, it's a JavaScript library. And again, it allows you to do everything that TensorFlow basically has in its description in the browser or on Node.js. Okay, these are this is very important aspect. You can do it directly in the browser, so directly on in Chrome or in Node.js application that you're building. So it basically brings the power of TensorFlow to web development. And what is the advantages? Number one, since it's running in the browser, you have applications which are kind of more interactive. Then easy integration. So like as we are going to do today, we are going to use React.js and integrate TensorFlow.js with it. Okay, and real-time applications. So we'll look at some examples of it, but basically, you can build apps which are powered by this machine learning TensorFlow.js model, and you can do stuff which will be like very exciting. We can look at some example. Let's say you have your webcam on and you can kind of tell it or show it on your live video feed. You show it an object and it recognizes what that object is, so kind of a real world application to it. Okay, so interactive real-time ML powered web application, that is why we should use TensorFlow.js. Now TensorFlow.js, like, these are the advantages, but what can you do is, number one, they have a huge library of pre-trained models. Okay, so you can use those models for image classification, object detection. As I said, like, your webcam is on and you show it image of I don't know, a mouse or a keyboard, and it recognizes it. Like, you recognize it, but the machine recognizing it is so good. Then custom model training. You can also use TensorFlow.js to train your own models directly in the browser. Okay, so you provided data and it runs in your browser and it trains on the data that you're giving it. Then transfer learning. You have a pre-trained model for, let's say, recognizing if it's a cat or a dog, and you take that and then tell it that now you know how to recognize between a cat and a dog. I'm going to give you some new data, recognize whether this is a, I don't know, a horse or a cat. Okay, something like that. So transfer learning, you take a already learned model and you give it some new data and tell it to learn from that data. So the good aspect of a transfer learning is that you don't have to teach it how to learn. You only have to teach it what to learn. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So it already knows how to classify between two different images. You only need to tell it that, okay, you have to learn on these new images that I'm providing. And as a, again, like, kind of a repeated point, that real-time interactivity. Okay, now these pre-trained models, as I said, a pre-trained model is something that is already out there, which has learned. Okay, it's already be trained on large and large data set. Okay, and you can just directly pick one of those models and use it for your application. Example, let's say you can use a pre-trained model for image recognition, or you can use a pre-trained model for sentiment analysis. Okay, to analyze what's the sentiment of this text, whether it's hopeful, whether it's sad, whether it's aggressive, stuff like that. Okay, so pre-trained models are basically the models, or your recipe kind of, which has already been trained. It's like your half cooked or kind of a fully cooked meal. Okay, you just take it and you can use it. Now, where do you find these models? I think that's one of the questions. Where does these models are? I'm assuming from TensorFlow. And you can find these models on multiple platforms. Number one, you can find these on TensorFlow GitHub repository. Okay, so you can go to this particular website, which I will share in the chat, and you can check out the different models that they already have. So you can see if you scroll down on that models, and you have image models, which are like for hand estimation or pose estimation, Coco SSD, which is for object detection, this mobile net, like so many for images, for audio, for text, for depth estimation, for general utilities. So like, so many models. uh okay, there's a question, can I share the slides? I will share the slides at the end, so don't worry, you will get the slides. Okay, so that is about your pre-trained models. What's the next bit? Kaggle. Okay, a really nice website where you could find machine learning projects, but you can also find some models. So like, let's say in this, I'm only specifically searching for TensorFlow.js models, and I see like there are, I don't know, 4 of them. Okay, so again, something to check out, right? Then Hugging Face, a hub for NLP models and transformers. So if you go to this particular website, you can find so many models, and you can go like, okay, I need image text to text models. Again, so many, or text to text kind of. Uh, I need something for image classification. Okay, there are 13,000 models for image classification. Okay, sort by most likes. Seems like the one from Google, and then one from Microsoft. Okay, image to text. Again, so many. Salesforce. Oh, Salesforce has a model for that. I didn't know that. So something to look at. You can find these models here, and I am going to actually reset this and give you this particular link. Okay, even the trade sorting it by trending would be nice. So that is where you can find some pre-trained models. Okay, then choosing the right model. So like, you saw where you can find the models, but how do you select a particular model? So you have to consider these following aspects, or these are the things that I would consider normally. Number one is, first identify what you're building. If I'm building something like image to text, okay, so that is what I'm going to consider first. The next bit would be the data quality. So you have to ensure that your training data is clean and representative to the task, representative of the task. So like, you, whatever images that you're going to give to the model, ensure that those images only contain text and no and nothing like photo of a cat or something, and it's very specific things to learn from. Then the quantity of data. So you cannot give it like one image and tell it, oh, learn from this. You have to give it like maybe hundreds of thousands of images, which is not exactly possible for us, but try. Okay, try for it. Go give it at least 10,000. Okay, that's the bare minimum that you should give it. So you should give it enough quantity of data to learn, and ensure that the data, if you're using supervised learning, then ensure that it is labeled correctly, it is labeled perfectly. If you are giving it a image which has something like hello from GHW written, and it also contains a picture of a cat and logo of MLH, you should highlight which part of the data contains this text. Okay, so access to labels and classes. Now, other libraries that are there, apart from TensorFlow.js, you have something called as ML5.js. It's built on TensorFlow.js and comparatively is easier. What can this do? It could do body pose, understand body pose, hand pose, face mesh, image classifier, sound classifier, neural networks. Okay, so ML5.js, it's TensorFlow.js, but much better. let's say. Then you have something called as brain.js, simple library for creating neural networks in JavaScript. Then you have convnet.js, which is convolution neural networks. Uh, okay, again, really nice. And you have something called as keras.js, where you can run keras models in browser, and you can bring the deep learning capabilities of the web. So the convnet.js, it's from Andrej Karpathy, if you know the person from, I think, Tesla. Okay, building like so many good things nowadays. So yeah, some other libraries, JavaScript, in JavaScript, which are available for your usage. So these are some good ones. And someone had asked some real life examples, and I had come to this slide like some time back, but let's say some other examples that you could use. Object detection, of course. Pose estimation, yes. Handwritten digit recognition, you write it on like on your canvas. So somewhere like you write, let's say 9, okay, or you write 1 here, and the let your model recognize which digit you have written. You can also make a game example, let's say between the ML model, or in this case let's call it AI and you can kind of build a game where someone writes a digit and the AI needs to correctly recognize it. And if the AI recognizes it, it gets like plus 10 points. If it fails to do so, it gets like minus 10 points. Fun game to make. Text sentiment analysis. So you have a model running in the browser, and you copy paste a tweet from Twitter, give it to it, and it will give you a sentiment. Like, again, hopeful, not hopeful, good, bad, anything. Style transfer. So think of it as Snapchat, but in your browser, where uh, you take an image or even live video feed, and you apply some styling on it, some filters on it. Okay, so these are some real world examples of TensorFlow.js, or even in general, what you could do with machine learning in browser. Okay, and there comes the end of this slideshow. Okay, I hope you understood, or you liked the keywords that I explained, and you have a bit of idea of what this is all about. And now the next bit would be to share these slides. Okay, so let me do that quickly with you all. uh, Again, I hope it made sense. And I know there would be some questions about, oh, how does this work? How does that work? I have so many other questions. But it would be, I think, out of the scope of today's session, because I want to keep it beginner friendly, not go too much deep into theory. And if you want to, I am sure there was a session on theory of machine learning. So definitely have a look at it. Example, let me go on to YouTube and let me search for not machine learning, sorry, Major League Hacking. And if you go over to the channel, go over to live, theoretical introduction to machine learning. Okay, streamed just 13 hours ago. So I'm going to take this video and I am going to give it to you all. Okay. So you can find it on Major League Hacking channel, or even other YouTubers have theory of machine learning. So you could learn from there. This was more of a basic introduction. Now let me come back on screen for a minute or two once I find where my cursor is. Finally. Okay, so I hope those things made sense. I hope you learned from it. Now, what are the next things that we are going to do? As you can see, oh yeah, I was here like 3 months ago, and since then I haven't streamed. So a bit of a recap. If you have seen my previous sessions, you know that I am more of a hands-on learning enthusiast. So what I'm going to ask you all, if you want to code along with me and you don't have a local setup, okay, this is very important. If you have Node.js, Visual Studio Code, and other libraries, I think these should be enough actually. These two things installed locally on your system, on your machine, then you can build the projects that I'm going to build directly on your local machine. But if you don't, or if you don't want to spend too much time in, you know, creating this local dev environment, I personally go for Replit. Now, it's not like MLH sponsored or something. I keep asking or keep saying this in this video that hopefully they do someday, they sponsor me or MLH, that because I use it so much. But one of the platforms that I really like is Replit. What you could do is you just have to create an account on their website, which is very easy. It's like one click, sign in with Google or sign in with GitHub, and that does the job. And you know what we can do there is that we can create an environment specific to what we want to build and just use that to write our code. So we don't have to care about installing Node.js, installing bunch of libraries. All of that can be done on this cloud environment. I really, really, really love it. Okay, so like you can see in the past some of the templates that I've used: Python, JavaScript, plain HTML, Node.js, okay, Python, JavaScript. Yeah, I think these have been my forte till now. So, what we do is we are going to create something called as a REPL. And in that REPL, we tell it that, okay, I want to use this particular template. Example, I want to use React JavaScript. So this is one of the templates that we can use, which comes with some pre-installed libraries, some pre-written code. Okay, so that's the best aspect. Now, I'm not too sure if there is something for TensorFlow though. Apparently not. So maybe that's something that you can build. There's also Python, Node.js, C++, C, Java. Setting up a Java environment is tough. So, helps you here. C Sharp, Bash, PHP. So like so many. P5.js. Okay, a TypeScript environment. So it installs the basic setup for you, and then you can take it from there. Now, in our case, I'm first going to wait for a couple of seconds, let people create an account on Replit, or if someone tells me that, okay, I have it, I have done it, we can move ahead. So like, I'll wait. Okay, I take the hey as done. Yeah, I think this should be good enough time. Yes, for creating an account on REPL. Now, what you have to do is you have to go on to create REPL, okay, and search for React JavaScript. Okay, that's the one that we are going to use. React JavaScript. You click on that. It gives it a title. Very weird title. So I'm going to give it a better title, which is GHW AI ML week ML in JS. As you can see, I'm keen user of underscore. Okay, so maybe like you can add it. You can also add dashes to it, or you can just merge everything together. I don't think spaces are allowed, but you can try it. So I'm going to give it a title so that for later on I remember what it is. So GHW AIML week ML in JS. So that's my first bit, and we click on create REPL. Once you click on create REPL, uh, you get some pre-written code, and there's this new feature of AI which we are not going to use, so I'm going to close the tab. And as I said, it comes with some pre-installed libraries. So if you go to the package JSON, you can see in the dev dependencies it has installed Vite, TypeScript, React DOM, React, and a bunch of other things. It has the Vite config.js pre-written. It has tsconfig.json pre-written. It has inside the source folder, there's an app.css which only has main. app.jsx and index.jsx. So if you're familiar with React, you would know what these things mean. But if you are not, let me give you a quick refresher. So index.html, how much ever JavaScript, PHP, or anything that you write, at the end of the day, you need to convert it into three files, okay, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this index.html, it's the entry point to our web application, okay? So it contains this particular line, which is called as script, where it tells it that the source file that it needs to read is inside the source folder in index.jsx. So if we go over to that file, there we have some libraries imported, like React DOM, and it also imports this particular file called as app. Now, this is what is being rendered in the browser, which contains this particular piece of code where it has a main and some text written. This looks very much like HTML. Okay. So whenever you have to run this whole thing, you can basically be on any file you want actually and just click on this run button. What it will do is it has things installed and it will then render it on the browser. So like you can click on this web, like you'll have this web view open and you can click on this new tab to open it in a new tab. And whatever you write here, like I'm going to remove this React v triplet and go like GHW MLH AI slash ML in JavaScript. Okay, I've written this and it will reload the server. Okay, so Vite local server will get reloaded and it will render whatever I wrote there in the browser. Okay, something very simple as that. Okay, so I hope you all have reached till this particular stage. Okay, all we have done is created a REPL and then we kind of removed the text that was already there and added our own text. And I'm going to close these bunch of other things. Hopefully the screen is big enough. Okay, uh, like you are able to read everything that's going on. And let me look at the questions. Can I access this video later? Yep. Thank you so much for the answer. Yes, you can view it on the YouTube channel of Major League Hacking. Okay. Cool. So what are we going to build? So we are going to first build our first application, which is very, very, very simple. Uh, we are going to build like 2 or 3 iterations of it uh, because, well, in the first iteration, it's not going to work perfectly. So we are going to build 2 or 3 iterations of it. And the app is very simple. All it does is a user will upload an image, okay? A image where the image contains handwritten text. So it will the user will upload the image and the work of our, I wouldn't say the word model, we'll use a library first. And the work of that library would be to basically read that text and give it in a printed format. So OCR, optical character recognition, or image to kind of like from the image to text in a way. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. Very simple. Now let me go away from here. And you know what? It's like it's been around an hour since the session started. So let's take a quick break. We have done so much theory. You all do need a break. So let's take a 10 minutes break and we'll come back after that 10 minutes and we'll then start building the project. Okay. I hope that sounds good to all of you. Uh, I share the slides? Yes, it's in the chat. So you can find the slides in the chat. You can check it out, take a break, have some water, walk around, uh, and then we'll be back to build some project. Okay, how long will this session be? And before that, there's a question. New to Replit, can we download the project and run in local after making this? Yes, we can. Okay, and it's very simple. All you have to do is click on this three dots, okay, there's kebab menu, I guess it's called. And you can click on the download as zip, which will download the whole thing as a zip. Okay, and then you can unzip it and run it locally. May I ask how long will this session be? Yes. So I'm doing two sessions today. So this is the first session, which will be 2 hours with this 10-minute break in between. Then we'll have a 1 hour lunch break, and then we'll be back for the part two of the session today. Then I'm going to do two more sessions tomorrow. Okay. So yeah, basically four sessions, each session 2 hours long. But for today, 2 hour session. And but before, like right now, we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll be back. And thank you so much for this. Okay, so let me add some music for all of you. Let me go away from screen and we will be back very soon. Oh, sorry. This is a question definitely for me. Is there a check-in link? Yes, 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 yes. There is a check-in link. Okay, so you can register here. Hello, hello. I'm back. Still have a minute, so don't worry about it. Just came to see if there are any questions, and I also needed to stop this. Yeah, remove this so you can focus solely on me. Uh, Nothing as such. Just need to add the images. Okay. So let me see. Upload a file. This, and perfect. Okay, and we are back. Okay, yeah, I hope you had a good break. Let me remove the banner because I'm back. And uh any questions? Name of the mentor? My name? So my name is Utkarsh, but you can basically call me UT because that's what everyone in MLH calls me, and that's what I'm known around. So if you tell someone, "Oh, I saw a stream by Utkarsh," and no one will know. But if you say, "Oh, I saw a stream by UT," everyone will know, at least in MLH. Okay, so same as like MLH versus Major League Hacking, right? Kind of similar notes. So yeah, that's me taking the session, and I'm kind of like I like Replit. I love Replit, but I really want to remove this bit from run on Replit. I will. Let's wait for maybe 30 more seconds, and then once everyone joins, we will get started. Okay. Another question: if I have to leave for a class in about 20 minutes, will I no more be an attendee of this session? Unfortunately, yes, you won't be an attendee of this session, but you can find this session on YouTube. Okay. So, forever, kind of. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Go and leave for your studies or anything for your go and leave for your class, and you can come back to it later when you're free. Coding's not for me, so I try to ensure that whatever I'm doing is simple enough to understand for everyone, even who's not a coder. Sometimes it's not possible because, well, you tend to use these terms like, oh, function or method. So I generalize it by saying that, oh, it's a black box. Okay, like just think of it as this is how you need to do it. uh, shouldn't be an issue if I follow along on VS Code instead of Replit, right? True, no issues as such. Because as far as I know, if you have VS Code and Node.js installed and up and running perfectly, that's all we need. I'm not going to do anything else other than that. Okay. So, yep. And what else? Nothing. Okay, I think we have been waiting for long enough. Let's get started. So before we get into it, what are we going to do? Let me give you a quick recap. We are going to build a React application, web application, where you can upload an image of which has some text written on it, and your project will read that particular text and put it out. Okay, or like write it down. Example: if it reads this particular image, hello from GHW, as it says, we can read it, right? But our project or our machine learning model, I wouldn't say machine learning model in this case, uh, but whatever we are building should be able to read it properly. Okay, and it should put it out or spit it out in a way. So we are going to upload like 3 images, and yeah, we'll basically wait for it to understand. We'll write some code for it to understand and give the output. I'm not going to style it too much, like not going to spend too much time in styling it and making it pretty. Because, well, that's not the focus of this whole session. The focus of this session is to how to use this ML and JS libraries, MLJS libraries, let's say, uh, in our in our web applications. Okay, so let me get out of your hair, and then we will start coding. If I can find, yep, there it is. Perfect. So I am going to do a bunch of things. Please follow along. Also, quick thing for Noob Masters 1609. Uh, Hopefully, you have started a wheat project. If not, then I would suggest uh, following this particular guide to create a wheat project. Oh, perfect. Nice. Very good. Awesome. But if not, like for someone else who's following along, please follow this particular guide to how to start a wheat project. Actually, I can open it for you all. So if you scroll down, uh, what you can do is uh, in your local machine, you can do npm create wheat at latest. Uh, but you also want it to pre-create some things, right? The way it has pre-created some files for me, that's what I would want you all to do. So you can do npm create wheat at latest. This is the name of the app. So my view app, instead of that, you can call it GHW AI ML machine learning in JS, something like that. Dash dash, then space, dash dash template, and the template would be not view. We are going to use the, like, you should use the React template. Okay, so instead of view here, it should be React. So this is for someone who's starting it in local, but someone who's following along on Replit, this should not be a problem. Okay, let's move on and let's build the first part of this project. We will create a very simple component. Okay, so that's the keyword I was looking for, sorry. So component. So what is a component? Component is nothing but a JavaScript uh, file, okay, uh, that you are basically should we have to submit this anywhere? No, not really. This is just for your learning and understanding. It's not, you're not supposed to submit it anywhere. Okay, so what is a component? So you can think of it as a JavaScript file which does one task. Okay, so normally the idea of component in React is that you create one particular file, it does one particular task, and that's it. Okay, and because it does only one particular task, you can reuse components. Okay, and we will see that reusing today. So step one, what you have to do is inside the source folder, click on this kebab menu and click on add file. And we will create a new file called it, let's say, image upload .jsx. Okay, what is JSX? It's JavaScript, I think, extension. X stands for that, or extensibility, something similar to that. But all it is, okay, for you to understand, all it is, it's a JavaScript file. Okay, instead of .js, it's JavaScript but extended for React. Okay, so we are going to create a image upload.jsx file. I'm going to add a comment. So this is image upload component. Okay, you don't really need to add this comment, but it's good to have it. Next, I'm going to write a few lines of code. First, I'm going to import the library of React. So import React from which particular library? React. Okay, so import React from React. Seems like it says that, oh, you are importing this library, but you're never using it. Don't worry, we will. Then we will start creating our component. So we will create a function. We will call it const image upload. Okay, and you can think of this thing that I'm writing as a template. So if you want to create a component anytime, all you need to do is follow these certain lines. So step one is you import React from React. Step two is you create something similar to this. So const the name of your function, equals to, and then your normal parenthesis, and then arrow function, which is like equal to and then greater than symbol. Okay, so it's equal to and then greater than symbol, and then curly brackets, and then you finally do export default and take the name of the function and export that particular thing. So export default basically says that from this file, we are exporting one component, which would be image upload. Okay, that's it. So that's what this thing means. And now inside this, we are uh, going to do multiple things. Some of those will not make sense right now, but it's okay. Okay, it's okay. Just think that, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be done. Okay, so step one, what are we going to do? We are going to first create some JSX, okay, or some like HTML looking thing. So we'll create a div tag first, okay, and close it. Inside this div tag, we will create a input button. So input, the only difference is it is going to take the type is going to be a file. Okay, you have different types of button. It has type button, type checkbox, type color, type date, datetime local, email, file, hidden image, stuff like that. But in our case, it would be type file. But this type file is going to accept very particular thing. It is only going to accept an image. So instead you can say that, oh, what if the type was image? Would that work? Try it. And that's it. Okay, this is the only part of the code that we have written. So const image upload equals to this particular thing that we have written. Let me also close this, shorten this, zoom into this. Yep, that should look better on screen and bigger on screen. So all we have done is written these few lines of code, and there's this very nice format button which you should click, I would say, so that it formats your code nicely. Once you have done all of this, how do I see an output? If I go here, if I reload the page, it's not showing the output to me. Where is this input button? So what we are going to do is, once you create a component, you need to import it in the entry point file. What is our entry point file? If you remember, the index.html is the entry point. It is calling index.jsx file, which in turn is calling app.jsx file. So this is our entry point. So we are going to call our component right here. Okay, this is temporary basis because later on we will remove it. So you can do something like image upload, and you can see it says, oh, do you want to import this particular component? It's coming from image dot slash image upload. So I'm going to hit enter, and then we are going to close it by a forward slash and then angle. Okay, and this is an additional line that was added. So if your system is not auto importing it, all you need to do is click on this import, like not click, sorry, write this particular line, and then let's click on format, so it formats it nicely. So the line is import image upload from dot slash, which basically means from the same folder, from the same directory. And yeah, that's it. Now if we go here, we can see a button, choose file, no file chosen. If you click on it, it allows you to kind of upload an image. Okay, if I click on it, it says 2.png. So it's uploading image, but it's not showing the image. Okay, so it is doing something. It's saying that, oh, you are uploading 2.png, but where is that file? Okay, so we should also kind of write some additional bits and pieces of code which we will use later, but let's write it down right now. So first on line 4, at least like line 4 here, we will give it something called as a prop. Okay, because we are going to reuse this component, we will create something called as a parent child hierarchy. Okay, where parent is the outer component. Right now the outer component is app.jsx, inside which we are using image upload. So we'll create a parent child hierarchy, and we will pass some data from parent to child. So in this case, we are going to say on image change. Okay, once this happens, or when this data is passed down to you, okay, what you have to do is create a new function inside this const image upload. Let's call it const handle image upload, where now some of these things will not make sense right now if you're not coming from a web development background. I'll try to explain it a bit, but if it doesn't make sense, ignore it for now. Just focus on our end goal where we upload an image and it reads the text. Okay, that's our end goal. So we are creating a new function. Okay, function, you remember when we discussed about models, it's like kind of a black box which takes an input, does something in between, and returns an output. Okay, that's what we are going to do. So inside this, we create a new variable. Let's call it selected file. Okay, and we are going to use this handle image upload in our input. So I'm going to write on change here. So on change handle image upload. Okay, so on change, call this particular function. Whenever the input changes, call this particular function. And what is this particular function doing? It's going to go like event dot target dot files of 0. Okay, so let's kind of console log this. Okay, let's console log the selected file, comma selected file. So this is the name and this is the value. And right now actually we are not going to use on image upload. So like for the timing, I'm not keeping it. Okay, I'm just deleting it for the timing. You don't have to do it. This is just for your understanding. Let me do inspect element and go to the console here. Clear this. What's new? Don't want to know. Go here. 1.png. I uploaded it and see this is what it has. It has the last modified at what time, what is the name, what is the size, what is the type, okay, and particular date, last modified date. So when you upload an image, or let's say you use this particular thing or you write this particular piece of code, this is the data about the image that you can get. Okay, now so that is what the selected file does, is giving, not does. It's basically the event.target.files of 0. This is what it is doing. If I don't do the of 0 part, I clear this, go to choose file, choose the 2.png, upload it. It has two things. It has on the 0th position, it has the details of the file, and on the first position, it just has the length. So what does that mean? Maybe we could upload multiple files. So if I go there, choose like try and choose 2 files, it's not allowing me to, because we are not allowing, we have not written code to allow upload of multiple files, but you could do that. Okay, and that's where the length parameter would be used. But we only want the details of the file. So yep, that's what we are going to do. And then we are like going to write a if condition. So if selected file, or if there is a file that has been uploaded, what you need to do is just go create a new variable called as const reader. Okay, and that is equal to new file reader. Okay, okay, there is a message. I'm going too fast. I am so sorry about that. Basically what we have done till now is create a new file, image upload. Okay, that's all. image_upload.jsx. Inside that, I have written some bits and pieces of code. If you want to follow along and you're missing bits and pieces, you can actually check out this REPL. Okay, I've shared it in the chat. So if you open it, you should find exactly what I am writing. So if I go to incognito, open it, it should be available to you all. There you go. So it has nearly everything that I have written till now. Okay, so you can kind of copy paste whatever I am writing. You can also switch between the files. From the understanding perspective, I would say please ignore some bits and pieces which do not make sense right now, because once you see the whole application working and running, it will kind of make more sense. Okay. Okay. So const reader is new file reader. This is something that is like new file reader is something that is available in JavaScript itself. So reader dot, there are multiple methods available or functions available, like so many things. On load end. Okay. We are going to call a function again. And then you remember that thing that I had written, then I deleted, which was called on image change. I'm going to get that back, on image change. And here I am going to use that, okay, and give it reader.result. And at the, like, let's format this once. So now on line 1, you have the comment, you have import React from React, and then we create our component, which is basically a function called as on const image upload. Okay, sorry, image upload. Inside that, we are creating a function to handle image upload. Okay, all it does is it takes the, like, we are writing some things which basically allows us to read the data of the file that we have uploaded. So that's done. And then after line 12, after this particular one, we are going to do reader dot read as data URL of selected file. Okay. Now again, some of these things do not make sense right now. But what I can do is, where is the reader defined here, right? So we can do console.log the reader. So let's see what does that give us. So this piece of code that we have written, what does that give us? So I'm going to reload this, clear it, click here, 1.png, upload. Oh, there's a problem. On image change is not a function. Well, we have not written that function. That is why there is a problem right now. So let's go and define this on image change function. Okay. So unfortunately, we couldn't see what the output is, but let's try and see that. So inside the source folder, we are going to create the v1, which we will call as add a new, like add new file. We will call it ocr reader.jsx. Okay. Again, I'm sorry if this is going too fast. I'm going with an assumption that you have some bit of knowledge, but if you don't, it's okay, because we have to focus on the end goal. Okay, you can legit just copy paste what I have written right now. Okay, and I would suggest to do that if things don't make sense. OCR reader.jsx. Now this is the place where magic is going to happen, a bit of a magic. So we will add a OCR reader component. Let's now, this is again going to be a component, okay, and which basically means that we have some defined lines of code to write. Step one is import React from React. That's the first thing. Then how do we create a component? We go like const OCR reader. Try to give your component the same name as your file, and then we do something like this, curly brackets. Then finally we write export default OCR reader, right? And that is the recipe to create a component. Now inside this, we are going to use our image upload component that we have created here. So I'm going to do import image upload from dot slash. If you do dot slash, it will tell you the name of the files that exist in that particular folder. So dot slash image upload is what we want to import. Now we are going to use something called as use state. Okay, it's a hook. What is a hook? What does a hook mean? A hook is a very simple thing. What is the meaning of OCR? Well, it means actually optical character recognition, but in this case you can just think of it as name of the file. Okay, like don't worry too much about it. It's like whatever you call it, but ideally the full form is optical character recognition. It recognizes the characters, okay, from a handwriting, let's say. Okay, so coming back, so what are we going to do here? Well, very simple. We are going to use something called as a use state hook. Now what is this hook about? So in React, React gives you some predefined variables to do particular things. One of the particular things is saving the data. Okay, so what does that mean? So if you're using this particular hook, the use state hook, it kind of saves the data into two variables. The first variable is what the data is, and the second variable is used to change the data. So example, I can create an array which has like two variables, image and set image. Okay, and I will tell that it uses the use state hook, and the initial value is null. Okay, there's no data, there's no image. Now when I use this particular hook, initially the image is null, but at some point in my code I can tell it that, hey, the image has changed and the new image is 1.png. Okay, so I can use the set image variable to set the data of an image, and by using this the value of image also changes. Okay, so if you use set image, the value of image will also change. Okay, initially it would be null, but later on if you give it 1.png, set image to 1.png, the value of image variable will be 1.png. If you change it to set image to 2.png, the value of image will also change to 2.png. So it's a very nice thing which allows you to set the data of a variable. Now let's create another function. Let's call it handle image change. And that has something called as image data. Okay, that is again a function. And remember this whole variable thing that I was talking. So set image to image. Oh, I have written image date. It should be image data. So set image to image data. Where this handle image change will come from, we will write some JSX code, some HTML looking like code, to and pass it this handle image change. Okay. So handle image change, set image to image data, and then let's kind of use this. So let me first format it. So that just nicely formatted. This is where our function starts, line number 8, and it ends on line number 10. After this, I'm going to write a return. So inside this return, I'm going to first give a div, okay, a div tag, HTML div tag, and then I am going to use this component that we created, image upload. Image upload. Now, image upload, it needs this on image change. Okay, this variable on image change. So let's use this on image change. And what will be the value? We will pass this handle image change to it. Okay, so we have done something. Does not really make sense right now. Or also, we are not using this OCR reader component. So we will go to app.jsx, remove this image upload component. Okay, it's no longer needed. And we are going to use the newer component, which we called OCR reader. Okay, OCR reader. So you can see there is a change on line number 2 as well, where we are now importing OCR reader. OCR reader internally uses this image upload component, okay, right here, which we are using here. So if I go reload this, it still looks the same, of course. And then we click on that, we upload. There was an error, if you remember, but there's no longer the error, okay. And this is the image. The result contains the image, okay. It's 1.9 MB of this string data. Okay, so our whole image has kind of been converted to a string, a base 64 encoded string data, which is available on the result. So image base 64 encoded, and this is what it looks like. You can kind of copy this, go on a new tab, paste it, and it's like half of it. Where is it coming from? This reader part. So if I do reader.result, go here, reload this, choose file, let's say 2.png, upload, reader is null because it's still waiting for that to come over. So that is why we are using this on load end. Then we get the data. Okay. Or wait, reader is a file reader, right? Or did I remove that? Something, but let's say we are successfully able to upload the data. Perfect. Moving on to the next bit. OCR reader, we are using the component that we created. We are able to pass the variable, the value. Image upload, if you remember, it uses this on image change, which we are passing from here and setting this image. We will also now do the next bit where we will show the image that has been uploaded. Okay, so I'm going to add a curly bracket. Okay, on line number 15, as you can see, I've added a curly bracket, and here I will say image and. Okay, what does this mean? This basically is a very short form of saying if image is available, or if there is a value to image. Right now the value to image is null, but this means that when the value is not null, when the value is, let's say, this base 64 string, okay, when that happens, what you have to do is inside a div tag, show me the image. So I'm going to use the img, where the source would be curly brackets image, Okay, and let's close this. That's it. So if image is available, then show that on the screen is what we have written. Let's go here, and you can only already see it, but let me kind of reset this and reload this whole thing. Choose file 1.png, upload hello from GHW, like at least we can read it. Okay, then notice the hello, the way hello from GHW is written. Let's upload another file 2.png, open hello from GHW but all caps. Then let's upload the 3.png, and it has some text written. Okay, something. Now it is kind of going outside of the bounds of this whole thing. So let's add some styling to our image, and we will say that there's a source and the style is going to be, we will go give it a max width. So max width of 100% and max height of 100%. Okay, I'm going to click on format so that it is nicely formatted. And let me go back. Let me open 1.png. Nice. Now the image is more constricted to this whole thing. So now if I upload the 3.png, yeah, more constricted. What if I upload 3a.jpg? It's a .jpg file if you see. And okay, let me reload this first. Upload 3a.jpg, and it can read png and jpg files. That's the best part. Okay, we can also give a delete file button here, but not needed right now. So we have created two simple components. One was image upload and one was OCR reader. Okay, now we can do more styling, but we can do it later. Let's use a library which allows us to kind of read the data. Okay, and the library that we are going to use, it's called tesseract.js. Okay, a really nice library which we are going to use. Let me share it in the chat. Okay, tesseract.js, it's a pure JavaScript port of the popular Tesseract OCR engine. What it allows you is to read something from the text. Example, let's say from here, it will read this text and convert it to this thing. Let's say we give it a file, let's say 3a.jpg file. It reads it and it does something. Okay, not really good. So I think I've kind of ruined the surprise in a way, but like we'll try and improvise this whole thing. Let's give it the 2.png, which is hello from GHW, and this is what is the output. Okay, hello with a small o. It does not read the from properly, and GHW. So we will first try and use the library as it is in our project. And then later on, we will actually do some modification to help us in a way, okay, or get perfect data from here. So reloading that. So we are going to use this library, tesseract.js, and you can kind of install it from npm, okay. Let me share the link in the chat. If I find it quickly. NPM takes a lot of time to load sometimes. Okay, so you can find the library and the details of the library in here. Everything's too zoomed in. So all we need to do is write this line of code, npm I tesseract.js. So I'm going to copy that. I'm also going to paste the command in the chat. We haven't done anything, so don't have to worry about it. But if you are a bit behind, you can actually find all the code right here. Okay. This should have everything that I have written so far. Also, this is the command that we are going to run. So coming back to our replit, I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to maximize the right hand side window. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to focus on the shell. Okay. The shell, not the console, the shell. Okay. Here we will write the command npm I tesseract.js. That was for me to kind of not mess up the spelling, and then hit enter. Once you do that, it will install it, and you can actually find it in the package.json. So if you go to package.json, in the dependencies, you now have tesseract.js installed. And we are going to use this particular library for OCR, okay, optical character recognition. And we are going to use it as it is. And we will see the problems that happen when we use the library as it is. So I hope you all have installed it. All you needed to do is go in the shell. People who are working locally in your terminal, just do npm I tesseract.js and that hit enter, and that's it. And I'm going to wait. If someone tells me that, oh, okay, we are done, we can move ahead. Or I can wait for 30 seconds and move ahead. Okay, I think I'm going to take the okay as done. And hopefully everyone has installed tesseract.js library. And now let's start using it. So I'm going to, again, take that away and let's focus on writing some code. So we will import the tesseract library. I'm importing it in line number 3. Okay, so import tesseract from tesseract.js. Okay, going to format it. No changes as such. Once you have this, we are going to write a function. Okay, so the function is const process image equals to, it will take the input of image data again. Okay, and then since it's a function, something like this is what we are doing, and we are going to use the tesseract dot. Okay, on that we have a function called as dot recognize, which takes the image data. It can also, like, you can see what it takes. It takes the image data, okay, the image. Then it has this language parameter, okay, which is not really required. You see the question mark? The question mark basically means that it's not really required, but we will tell it that we are writing English so that it kind of gives us a better output. Okay, and after this, uh, you can kind of log it to the console. So I'm going to use something called as a method which is available in it called as logger, where we just tell it that console dot log the data that is being uploaded. And once the whole image file has been read, then what do I want to do then? So I'm going to, inside the then, there will be multiple things. Okay, so once that is done, we are going to do dot then on it, and then inside that I have the data parameter, which is going to be a text parameter. And close this. Oh, where is this text coming from? Let's write that particular thing very quickly. I'm going to create a new variable, a new use state, which has text comma set text. Okay, and initially this is going to be empty, and that is what this text is going to go over to. Close these two, and after this we do something like this, and then we will set the text to this text that comes from here. Okay, that comes from here. This variable is not equal to this variable yet. Okay, we'll use it somewhere else. I'm going to format everything. All we have done is written a function called as process image, which uses some internal methods and functions and some internal things that are available to Tesseract. And all it like what it does is it Tesseract takes the image data. We are also telling it the language is English, and we console log the data, and then the image gets converted to text, and then we are setting the variable, this text variable, which will be initially empty, to what Tesseract returns. Okay, and now let's show this to the user. So you remember this image and okay. Similarly, after this, let's create a new div here. Okay, and inside this div we are going to, let's say, write h3 tag, where we will say extracted text, and then in the next line we will just show the text. Okay, to show the value of the variable text, we do something like a curly bracket. Okay, so this particular text on line number 38 is the one that is on the line number 8. We are going to format this whole thing, and let's go over to React TypeScript, and you see this word extracted text, right? And this particular text is currently empty, and that is why it's not being seen on the screen. But if you give it the initial value as hello GHW and go over, you can see the initial value is being printed. Okay, now if I upload one.png open, it uploads the image and it changes the text, the hello GHW. Oh, I have written this function, but I have not called it anywhere. So let's go over to set image. And once the image has been set, I'm going to call this process image function, and I'm going to pass it the image data. This particular image data goes in here, which is passed to process image, which is here, which takes this image data that's coming from here and then does something. Okay, format it, go over, and then let's reload this and choose file one.png, and hello GHW changes to hello from GHW. I can also change this to dash 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 dash. So the initial text is dash 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 dash, and I upload one.png, and the text changes to hello from GHW, and it's able to read it from this image. Okay, as you can see, I have not done, I've like all the code that's written, it's in front of you, and I'm not doing any magic, and it's understanding. And you can see what we are console logging. It's basically running Tesseract in the background. Okay, that's what's being console logged. Okay, and the extracted test, hello from GHW. We can make it kind of bigger. Instead of using a p tag, we can use a h1 tag, and let's say we reload this whole thing. Oh, we used a h1 tag here. We should also close with h1 tag. reload this, choose file 1.png, open hello from GHW, which is reading from here. Also, where is the image? So I've actually uploaded the image in the REPL itself, 1.png. You can click on this and click on the download. Okay, I'll also upload the other two files. Okay, let me quickly upload it. Upload file 2.png, 3.png, 3a.jpg. So I'm uploading all the images in Replit itself. So for folks who don't have access to this image, okay, you can actually download it from Replit. If I go over to, let's say, incognito, should be available, but if it's not, give it some time to sync in the cloud. 1, 2, 3, 3a. Okay, everything is available actually. So this is 3, this is 3a, this is 2, this is 1. Perfect. So you can find the images right here on their Replit, and all you have to do is click on the image name, click on the kebab menu and download. 2, download. 3, download. 3a, download. Okay, please do that so you will have access to the exact same thing that I have. Also, I don't need this console log anymore, so I'm going to remove it. Yeah, let's format this file. Let's format this OCR reader. And that is the simplest image to text, like image to text being like image which has text written on it, to a normal uh, text that the computer is able to read. There's no machine learning involved here. We are not using TensorFlow.js as such. For the other images, hello from GHW, it does not recognize the M here. Okay, so that is one problem. Let's try the third file, 3.png. You can read it, right? TensorFlow.js is a JavaScript library that enables you to train and deploy machine learning models directly in the browser or on Node.js, something that was in the slides. And this is what it gives me. Definitely wrong. Okay, definitely wrong. But it's okay. We are going to improve slowly and steadily. We will use TensorFlow.js to improve bits and pieces of this. Let me come back on screen quickly, because we are nearly at the end of our first 2-hour session. Okay, it's like OCR reader code again. Yes, I can. You don't really need this dash dash dash, so I'm going to remove it for now. And you can find the code on this. Okay, if you go to the link that I have shared in the chat, and I would request you to, you can find all the code there. So you can, like, if you are facing some errors, you can kind of copy paste the code quickly, and then you can do a Control Z and see what's the difference. Or you can have both of them open and do a line by line check. All the magic, as I said, happens in this function. Okay, tesseract.recognize is where all the magic happens. And what we are doing is showing the user the image that the user is uploading, and then outputting the extracted text that comes from Tesseract. Okay, so as someone said, it's a nice library. It is such a nice library, yes, but it has its own errors, as we saw. Okay, like especially for the 2.png. Okay, this is definitely a readable text, so it's failing to recognize this particular M. Okay, and capital and small o, which is okay, I think, but the M can be changed or improved. Okay, so we, in the next session, which is after like 2 hours, no, sorry, after 1 hour, we are going to use TensorFlow.js to format our image. Okay, and then we will pass it to Tesseract, and then let's see the changes in the output. Okay, so till now, I hope you enjoyed the session. You have learned about a new library. You have used that particular library. And in the next session, we will continue building on this OCR reader.jsx and improve it. Okay. And if there are no further questions, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's session. We'll be back after 1 hour. Okay. Yeah, 1 hour. We'll be back after 1 hour to continue on this session. Okay, we'll wait. I'll wait for like a couple of more seconds and goodbye for now. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye. Perfect. Love it. And thank you to everyone who said thanks. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everyone. See you after an hour. Have lunch, dinner, snacks, breakfast. Yes, bye.